Interesting.
All right. We are live. Greg, you're up.
Good evening. Good evening. It's 8 p.m. Life on the deck. Tim, Chad, Greg here. I just want to say, I want to start out with something tonight. Yesterday was Mother's Day, of course. And let's start out with a little bang. Public service announcement. I tried to put a nice little thing on Facebook at a local Little League. And I guess it said needed to be accepted by a moderator, and it wasn't accepted. Like,
What did you post?
Just a nice Mother's Day baseball theme thing. You know, maybe some of them watched this show. I'm not sure, but you know, the love was not in the air yesterday. I hope it was for everybody else, but it wasn't for me.
So you were worried about somebody not retweeting your stuff on Facebook?
No. I'm a member of a Little League group on Facebook.
Okay.
And I put a nice Mother's Day post for all the baseball mothers out there. God bless you if you are one.
Right. Mother's Day. Have a great day.
And they wouldn't put it on the feed. I mean, I don't understand why.
Maybe they didn't read it.
I don't know. 4 or 5 people. They should have been read. Maybe it was me. I don't know. Maybe I'm the odd man out here. I'm not the head varsity coach.
Or are you John Gruden over there? You're all back in black. You got you hanging out in your cabin or what?
I am in the cabin.
Greg by the fire tonight.
I wish it was on. I wonder if they have any heat in this house.
Fireside chats with Greg. So what's up, fellas? Big week. We didn't hit last night because of Mother's Day. Do you guys think Last Dance got better last night?
I think Jordan got human last night. I think he showed some signs that, you know, he does have feelings behind that facade that he puts up all the time.
The aura.
He's a tough dude to crack, but he kind of, I mean, you break down and start crying a little bit about your feelings of how tough you were as a player, you know, and how he used the word tyrant, how he drove his teammates.
Yeah.
He became human last night.
I thought last night was by far the best 2 hours of TV I've seen since the quarantine started. And, you know, I thought it was by far the best 2 episodes yet of this series.
What do you guys think about, we're all 3 of us are dads. And I love the discussion talking about his dad. I never knew the whole thing when they were playing in Seattle and he wanted to close out the series on Father's Day. You know, he's on the floor there in the locker room, and that's just raw. I mean, that's just raw stuff. That's real stuff. You know, Superman has a hole in his cape a little bit. Do you think like he was able to endear himself to maybe a whole other generation of people, or do you think it just added more layers to the like? I thought it was pretty moving myself.
Well, that just goes to show how much how much was weighing on him and what he was going through personally.
Yeah. And
he still held it all together. I mean, the media attacked him. Just the way they handled the whole situation was not good.
No. I mean, I remember when he won that game and, you know, he goes to the floor in the middle of the court with the basketball in his hand. And I don't remember the guy's first name, but his last name was Brown. I think he was number 0, like trying to take the ball from him. I mean, I thought Mike was going to fight the dude.
Brown?
Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, come on, man. Like, that ball is not going to your house. That ball is going to Michael Jordan's house. And it's going to be, I won this on Father's Day after my dad passed. I remember that vividly.
I remember, I mean, I was always a MJ fan, but I remember at that point in time, I loved Shawn Kemp. I don't know if you know that, Tim, but I was rooting for the Sonics that whole series, but I can't believe I did, knowing how much of a bitch Gary Payton was.
Well, one of the things we talked about adding something to the show is every week, each of us kind of hitting with somebody that didn't have a very good week. I know, Chad, you're itching to talk about this one.
Yeah, Gary Payton definitely did not have a good week. He was pretty well laughed at by Mike. I mean, I thought that was kind of funny actually, like to see him like bust out laughing for the first time he ever saw the clip.
Yeah.
I mean, his new meme's made. I mean, that's going to be the new meme. It's not going to be the crying Jordan anymore. It's going to be like, the way he looked at the iPad. I thought the coolest part about that, though, before I get into my Gary Payton story, was he starts laughing, and then Gary says, "Hey, I wish I'd have done it earlier. It might have altered the series?" And Mike kind of like stuttered and looked at him with these huge eyeballs, like, "Dude, are you serious?"
Right. He's like, guy, you have no clue.
Yeah, exactly.
I never had a problem with the glove.
I mean, here's the thing: Gary Payton is from Southeast LA. He's a Compton dude, and I was fortunate enough a couple years ago to go to the Hall of Fame. One of my friends works for the Hall of Fame, so he invited me up for the weekend, and I went out one night. It was me and Dennis Scott and a couple other guys, Travis Best, Ray Allen, those guys, and then the glove shows up. Well, you hear the stories that he did it last night, talking trash about how he was going to beat up Michael and stuff. Yeah, Gary and I sat at the bar for a while, and he talked as much trash at the bar to me that he probably did to Michael Jordan on the court about how I can't drink certain drinks and why are you so soft? Come on, white boy, let's pick it up. I mean, it was pretty good stuff, and but at the end of the day, I have a picture with him here at my house, and he was an awesome guy to talk with. But man, he's got stories. I mean, it was funny because while we were doing that, Michael actually walked in, and I couldn't get close to him. They were able to go over and talk to him. His bodyguards were around, but Gary was still enamored by Michael Jordan in 2016 at the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, the thing that kept running through my mind is like, dude, how many times have you had this conversation with people? How many times have you brought this up that, if what he said, he told George Karl that he was going to defend Michael that night. He was going to be matched up on him, and they were changing the game plan and all that. And I thought to myself that he kind of came away looking pretty weak for sure.
And that was game one, right? Like that's the one where Michael hit the shot right over top of him at the end of the game and gave the big fist right to the crowd, right? That's that one. Yep. I mean, I think I've seen stats put up where Michael was like 22 of 60 the remainder of the series from the floor, and they're like, that's awful. He still averaged 31 points for the finals. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, he definitely cooked the Supersonics pretty well.
I'd never known the LaBradford Smith story. Do you believe that, or do you think that's something, Michael needed to come up with villains? Michael needed to come up with ways to find some ways to motivate. You think LaBradford Smith that really happened, or what he dropped 36 that night, and then Michael comes out the next night when they come back to DC and drops 36 in the first half? Is that lots of the guys were like, it's just Michael being Michael. But what do you think?
I'm with you on it. I really didn't buy into all that stuff. I think I think he had 36, and but I don't think Michael did I don't think it was played like that. I mean, I don't think he needed a LaBradford Smith motivation to get himself playing. But all the great ones do different goofy things. Like if you look at Larry Bird, they become bored to a point when you're at that level. And Larry Bird would always he'd ask the ball boy, what's the record here, for 3-pointers made in a game, or what's the most points scored in this building? I'm going to try to break it tonight. And I think Michael had the same little fire inside of him that was a little bit different too.
Well, they had said, right after that, they had asked Michael if it was true. And he said no. He said he made that up just to motivate himself. That's what I thought.
I don't know, and I'll say this because I don't know how it was for you guys as players, but did you guys ever try to psych yourself up and tell yourself different stories as players just to kind of get yourself on edge so that you would be ready to go? Or do you do it as a coach, Tim?
all the time. It's tough as a coach because you've got all those other things running through your mind, especially on game night, different things you got to take care of. But I remember doing it all the time. Some of the guys loved playing at home. When I was playing, even in college, I loved playing on the road because you had that kind of quiet time to yourself, whether you're I played small school ball, so didn't really have, we weren't staying overnight anywhere. We were hopping a bus and riding. Having the opportunity to have that quiet time to yourself, turn your music up even those days, and literally make every single person on the other side somebody bad, even if you had friends on their team, even if you had other people that you knew.
Yeah, I would get that. Like my bus trips at Shenandoah were like that. I mean, I actually got more sleep on bus trips. I look forward to those daggone things. You got on the bus, and I know my numbers were different than your numbers from a travel perspective with, how many guys you loaded up on the bus at Frostburg.
Tell Chad I'll have to get his address next time. Sorry I left him out.
Chad, Megan says, sorry you didn't get ice cream this time. Next time.
No, I appreciate that, though. You're good. But I know, like, I fell asleep and I would sleep on the bus the whole time. And that was pretty fun. That was where I got to catch up. And you're right, though. I played better on the road than I did at home most nights.
I tell people all the time, with football stuff, it's almost easier to play on the road, too, because there are less distractions. Love playing at home. I love that environment and everything else. Love playing in front of your town. Sometimes it's just easier to get on the bus and do your thing and roll in there and just take care of business,
Absolutely.
Greg, who was your GOAT this week? Who was your go-at person? Who'd you have the big problem with? Because I'm going to come back with another basketball reference. And Chad started us off there. Who's your GOAT this week?
My GOAT?
Your go-at person.
I don't know.
Holy cow, hold on a second.
Everybody.
McVicker, a Michael Jordan rookie Fleer sold for $96,000 yesterday, Evans said. $96,000. Like Greg Small makes that in a year. I couldn't imagine that kind of money.
So Greg Small makes that in about 3 months, all his endorsement deals and everything he's got right now.
Couldn't ever imagine that.
Did you guys see that on Twitter yesterday? Darren Rovell talked about that. So there's a guy named Pat Rothstein who is the #1 seller of all Jordan rookie cards. And he actually sells them out of New York City. He sold them. Okay, so he sold 12 of them to a guy in Vegas the last week of January for $40,000 a card. They flew out to Vegas, delivered the cards. Money was wire transferred in, $480,000 to his company. He now has them last night on sale at Sotheby's, along with a pair of Jordan shoes that were worn during the Celtics series at Sotheby's.
Wow.
The shoes went for $215,000, and the card went for $96,000 before tax. So somebody dropped 6 figures on a card yesterday.
Wow. Well, we haven't talked about, we talked about basketball so far. What about his baseball career? And I thought it was cool. I did not realize that Tito was his manager. I mean, Terry Francona, I've been a Yankee fan. I hate the Red Sox, but I've always loved Terry Francona. I've always thought he was the man.
I think he took him. He played for the Scorpions, if I'm not mistaken, in the Arizona Fall League, and he was the manager there. And the reason they set that up is so he could get used to him when they took him to Birmingham.
Yeah.
I mean, Francona said if he had 1,500 at bats, which would be 3 seasons in the minor leagues, Michael would have made the bigs. There's no question in his mind, because he said his work ethic and his motor is higher than anybody he's ever coached at any level in baseball.
That just goes to show what kind of athlete he was. I mean, that's incredible. And for Terry Francona to say that, I mean, how many people has he seen? How many people has he been around?
Enough.
Another GOAT.
Well, I say go at, Greg. I mean, go at. Who's your go at this week? Who was like your clown of the week?
Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley wasn't even on the episode this week. Gary Payton. I mean, Chad took Gary Payton, but is Scottie Pippen made himself look bad in this whole ordeal or what?
Yes,
I mean,
100%.
Well, what if that was just Scottie? I mean, there's always, when you're playing with a guy like Michael, there's always going to be someone who's a compliment player. I mean, it's kind of like everybody can argue. Scottie never won without Michael. Michael never won without Scottie. You know, I don't think it was an alpha beta situation, but is that just who Scottie was? And the guy at one point was probably one of the top 3 players in the league. He's a top 50 guy in league history. He was a dream teamer. You know, the best defensive player in the league for probably a decade. Is it too harsh?
I think go ahead, Greg.
Good. I mean, he gave up on his team there in game 3 or on that possession or whatever. Thank God for Teddy Kukoc.
Yeah, I mean, Kukoc comes in. I think the thing about Scottie that I've learned in this whole ensemble of, these episodes is every single weekend he looks like a douchebag. I mean, it was the first weekend, it was money. It was the second weekend was I was like contract. The third weekend, we're dealing with the dream team and how he's going to try to embarrass Tony Kukoc because he's been out of shape. That Jerry Krause was flying to Croatia to watch him and not give him an extension and a raise. And then this weekend, you got, him acting the same way with regards to not getting the ball for the last shot. I mean, I don't know. Like, everybody talks about how Michael needed Scottie to win, and I don't disagree with that. But Michael was a tyrant. Scottie was a prima donna.
But do you think at any shape or form, you think that this isn't on purpose because Michael was in control of the whole documentary?
I don't think it was on purpose, but I do believe that Michael wanted to show the truth that he probably pushed away and brushed under a rug and just fought through it when he was playing. Like, I think he just tried to get through it. And now he has an opportunity to say, listen, like, I did all this stuff and look what I had to go through to do it. I think that's more how I'm taking it.
So Scottie Pippen, your guy of the week, Greg?
Yeah, my guy of the week. Yes.
Well,
sure. I have all kinds of guys of the week.
Well, elaborate.
I know. I don't need. We're talking the Last Dance here. We're talking basketball. It's okay.
My guy of the week, George Karl. What a dumbass. All right. What was the situation? He's in a restaurant. Was it the night before one of the series games? Michael says, me and George Karl, we're UNC guys, Dean Smith guys. We got this connection.
Ahmad Rashad was the one Michael was with who told the story.
Yeah, he's eating dinner with Ahmad Rashad, and him and George Karl play golf. Well, Karl gets to go up to leave the restaurant, walks right past Michael. The ultimate slight, the ultimate disrespect. You just called down the thunder. There's a great clip out there that was circulating on Twitter this morning. Doug Collins saying people don't understand that the worst thing you can do is give Michael Jordan a challenge. Show your ego to him, show him a slight, and you have called down the Thor's hammer kind of thing. That was, for me, it's like, George Karl, you screwed up, man, big time.
But when George tried to explain it, though, he said that he was just doing what everybody told him to do.
But who's to say it's not like the Isaiah Thomas thing? It's real easy 29 years later.
Right.
I mean, I watched that part, and then I watched Terry Francona on Get Up this afternoon. And it was just him and I forget the young lady that was interviewing him, but they were just talking. And he learned he said, like, 3 weeks at Arizona Fall Ball, like, do not tell Michael no. He will find a way to make yes happen. So they're in Birmingham, and Michael's complaining that he can't get enough cuts during a day. Like, he wanted to come in at like 2:00 and get hits. The rest of the team didn't report till like 4:30.
Yep.
Homestand, 4:30 for a 7:30, 7:35 first pitch. That dude's in there at 2:00 getting hacks. They took the assistant coaches' offices out and put a tee and a net in across from Terry Francona because Michael pestered the assistant coaches so much to get cuts that they just put it across from Terry Francona because he kept saying, no, I'm not going to do it. So he had to sit there all day and hear a ball off a tee into a net for like 2 hours. He said Mike would get like 300 cuts in before a game.
Well, it's crazy too. He started his career with like a 16-game hitting streak, I think.
They started seeing curveballs.
Yeah, and then of course, Francona said they started throwing curveballs and pitches out of the zone, and he struck out a bunch of times, but still.
He batted over 200 in Double-A ball and didn't play for what? How many years? He was 31, right?
It's 14
Yeah.
years.
When he played
Last
baseball?
time he played was 17.
Yeah, that's 14 years. I'm sorry. There's a lot of guys that could end playing college ball right now that aren't going to go hit 200 in Double-A baseball.
Double-A.
That's the
right.
best of the best. Outside of the bigs, when you're in the minor league system, Double-A is the next step. That Triple-A is kind of the fallback. It's the injury stage. Double-A is the dudes that he was going at every night.
All right, our boy Evan again has just thrown out the name LeBron James. Evan.
LeBron.
Evan, have you ever seen Space Jam? So Space Jam for us was like the completely divergent away from sports, but it's cartoonish. I think, Chad, you and I were in high school when it came out. Greg, you're a little bit younger. What about the schedule that they talked about Michael kept during Space Jam? There's no way LeBron James could keep that kind of schedule and do what he was. They were just filming.
He's too much of a prima donna.
Filming 12, 16 hours.
Yeah. I saw something on Twitter today. It was one of those, it was one of those Sports Illustrated guys, one of them guys said something about what kind of, what guy in this generation could do that? Because there's too many me's. And Michael just went out and did it.
Well, how about the pickup games afterwards that they would play on site?
That's where I wanted to be.
Michael, working with his trainer, is like he's trying to transition his body. They lost its series against, was it Orlando? Orlando swept them. And the next year they obviously came back and swept Orlando. But Michael's basically hit the reset button on the offseason, and Reggie Miller's in there playing, and all those guys are,
Juwan Howard.
Yes. Can you imagine what that was like?
Ewing was in there.
It would be like going to UCLA and playing on court number 1 in the side gym that they go to in the summertime. It's the ultimate pickup games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could see like all the producers and everything. All the people in the film crew were just over there watching, had their feet up. I would be doing the same thing, but still, that's awesome.
So, Evan, there's no way LeBron could keep up that kind of schedule, do that kind of thing. Not even close, buddy. Not even close.
Well, also, Evan, there's the whole this has been going on for about a week now. They're trying to predict what Michael would average in today's NBA. And someone put out there was like 54 points per game, something stupid.
Jalen Rose said he'd average between 50 and 54 points a game because how soft the officials are and how many times he'd get to the line. They said in the 90s he was getting to the line 15 times a game. That would be doubled now. They said he scored 20 points at the foul line every night.
That's insane. It's absurd. Something else I want to share with you guys. I don't know if you caught this or not. In episode 910, and Greg, we've talked about how you've been able to catch all these episodes on the MyFlixer website and do all those things.
Not these
whatever
two,
reason, 9 and 10 ain't out there. 9 and 10 are locked down. Even over in China, nobody's watched 9-10 yet.
Yep. I heard they're not done number 10 yet.
Really? Still in post-production?
I heard they're scrambling at this point to get it done by this weekend.
Well, there's our reason.
That was on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
Well,
the guy who's the director of the series was late on last night with Jalen Rose and the other guy. They do that one podcast and one webcast. And he says that there is a interaction between Larry Bird and Michael. And I would take it's during – Larry was coaching the Pacers that first year, was NBA Coach of the Year and all that. There's interaction between Larry and Michael that is going to set the internet aflame next week. So, like, I'm on pins and needles. I can't wait.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. I mean, I grew up a Larry Bird fan. I mean, Dad kind of taught me though. There was one way, it's the Celtics way, and so I kind of grew up watching those dudes. But Larry Bird was the ultimate trash talker.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what him and Michael talked about in this one. I mean, remember the McDonald's? I'll play you in horse for your Big Mac. The
Up over the rafter.
off the freeway.
Yes.
So I mean, what's your prediction? I wondered this last night watching SVP. Do you think Jordan will come on the SVP show after it's over?
That'd be a big get for Scott Van Pelt. Does he have to?
No.
I think Robin Roberts had him for like 15 minutes the weekend before like all this stuff came out, and that was like a big deal.
Yeah.
He doesn't usually do the like he'll do this, the Michael Jordan production, but he doesn't do the other stuff.
Ahmad Rashad. I love Ahmad. This makes me miss the whole 90s NBA, like the Saturday morning show and all. This makes me miss all of that.
Inside the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Adam Butts does. He told me today he don't even want to watch the NBA anymore.
Well, I can tell you before I love the 30 for 30s and those things. It had been years since I had seen an NBA game. I still love watching college basketball, especially around March Madness time, but the NBA has been tough. And as we've talked, this whole thing's kind of been a nice nostalgia piece too. But they asked the director, is there going to be an episode 11 or 12? And he went to respond, and you could tell something was on his lips, and he pulled it back. So maybe this is big enough too that there's going to be another piece to this that they're going to try to drag out, or somebody's going to try to do that.
Well, speaking of dragging out, I saw the owners okayed the plan for Major League Baseball to start in early July, so we'll see how that goes. Roger Goodell has already stepped up and said he's going to open up America. So maybe sports are coming back.
Well, it all started with sports, if you remember. I mean, it all started with, March Madness being canceled and those guys in the NBA catching it and the Big East tournament basically being stopped in the middle of the game. It all started there. Shouldn't it end there too?
It should end and begin with sports. Everything should end and begin with sports. What would be our dream job? We should be sports agents, right?
Well, that's what we always joke about. That that's like we should have gone to law school and done that. That's a hard life, but that'd been fun.
Small in Rosenhaus.
Yeah.
Chad, what was your dream job?
I did want to be a sports agent for a while.
See,
I thought that would have been a cool gig. I didn't do it because I figured out you had to go to law school, and that was not going to be in my academic repertoire. So I just kind of stuck with sports management and different. But I mean, Jerry Maguire kind of took me on that.
I apologize.
And then
Jerry Maguire,
and then Two for the Money. That was a bit on the gambling side, but it was still kind of like sports driven and how to get things done with Matthew McConaughey.
Jerry Maguire. I know this is a family driven podcast, but I'll never forget that quote.
Which one would that be?
Never stop.
Hold on, Greg. You're free, man. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. We good?
They're both frozen on yours.
Uh-oh. Chad, you there?
I'm here.
Tim's muted. I don't know what happened.
Tim's not moving either.
The feed has stopped. So what else is going on?
I did see the baseball thing, did you see kind of how they want to do that? Have you read about that a little bit?
No, I just I know didn't South Korea can now bring 1,000 fans. They want to go back to the original ballparks. I know that, right?
They do, and they want to. I think they're going to do an 82 game season, is what it sounded like, and then they're going to bring 14 teams into the playoffs. So they're going to have 2 wild cards from each division,
right,
to try to get it revved up to get more games together with having that. So I mean, it is pretty cool, to be honest with you. Like, it is pretty unique to how they're going to try to do it, and I don't see the NBA playing. Like, I think I'm not going to say there's so many people scared from what happened with, the whole Utah Jazz stuff, but that they seem to be the furthest behind getting back than anybody right now, to be honest with you.
I know Shaq came out yesterday and said they should just fold it. I mean, I did say I saw last night in the ticker, like the Barcelona soccer league, like 3 more players on one team were now positive, and they're supposed to have their startup soon. I don't know. You got the stuff, it's spreading around the White House now. I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
oh, there he is. He's back.
Yeah,
back with a vengeance.
The feed jumped and popped back in. So God bless you, Antietam Cable.
God bless you. Fiber One.
What's your guys' take on fans? Should baseball, football, basketball do you think it's going to inhibit the viewing experience even on TV with no fans?
No. I watched the Orioles play with no fans a couple of years ago during the riots, and I didn't see any issues. I mean, there was some fun stuff with that. I mean, I think it's Gary Thorne, right?
He's awesome. Yeah, he's the best.
So he actually did like a master's call. Like, Adam Jones came up to bat, and he kind of called it like he was calling a master shot. He slid into second base, and he's like, it was in the 7th inning. He's like, oh, and he's by the green jacket now. He's close to the green jacket. So they had fun with it. I don't think it's going to be a difference. I mean, UFC was on the other night, and they had nobody in the arena. And I could not tell until they talked to the people after the fight. You could hear it reverberating.
Yeah.
Like, when the questions were asked. That's the only thing that was different.
I watched the whole thing. There was nothing. Like, it was no difference to me.
No. I mean, did you hear the reverberation, Greg? Like, when they asked the questions, you could kind of hear it like echoing a little bit. But that's the only issue I saw the entire time.
Well, we have issues with that in the podcast. So they're good. They were good.
Yeah, we worked them out. I mean, you're here tonight.
Yeah, we work out the kinks. We're here. We're back.
Speaking of working out kinks, did you see Conor McGregor's coming back at weight 170? He's calling all the 170 guys out. He wants the belt back from his Ireland whiskey factory over there, calling everybody out.
You think he was really that good? Like, there's a big part of him to me that he's just a win back. I mean, you got Mike Tyson, 53, 54 years old.
Tyson of Holyfield, what? About Tyson Holyfield 7 or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's like you and I fighting in the living room as kids. Somebody's going to lose an ear.
We're not in shape to do that again. Don't worry.
Did you see how ridiculous shape he is?
Oh,
Mike
it's
Tyson's
crazy.
Back. That's
yes.
nuts. And I feel bad for the dude with the pads on, because those pads ain't working. I can tell you that right now. They're still feeling that.
No, they're comparing it to Foreman. Foreman must have came back at 51 or something, and Tyson's what, 53?
There ain't no way.
You know who asked for a piece of him? And that guy's nuts. This guy's crazy if he really wants to fight him. Deontay Wilder said he wants a piece of Mike Tyson.
Insane.
That dude's crazy.
That's
like, see, here's the thing about Mike Tyson. He'll take a hit because he's already killed how many brain cells?
You're going to take a hit and keep coming. Get Rocky Balboa. Jesus.
Oh, hey, now.
I'm telling you, if he gets up underneath the Wilder's hands, it's over. He'll knock him out. He'll hit him on the chin and drop him.
Well, that trainer said he's faster than what he was in 1996.
Yeah, but can he go the distance with that?
Right, and the stamina. I get that. But how often does it get to that point?
Not much anymore.
He knocks your ass out in the first round, he's going to know it. I will. I don't have to pay that because I have illegal TV. Sorry, but I would pay $60 to watch Mike Tyson fight again.
Yes, I would.
And I am not the only one.
Worth it.
Somebody get Kevin Murphy on the phone. Somebody get him down here.
Antietam Cable. Hurry. We got criminals everywhere. I can't believe I ever paid for cable.
Don't know if any of you guys caught this in the audience watching the 67,000 of you guys out there in Life on Deck land.
6 or 7? Is that what you said?
67,000. That there was obviously Michael Tyson had a very torrid relationship with young lady. Oh my gosh, this is part of getting old. Robin Givens, who was on TV at the time. They were married. They were divorced. Tyson accuses Michael one night at a club of having a relationship with Robin Givens, and basically gets to the point where he's about ready to knock Michael Jordan's face off.
Jordan, yeah.
And they talk about Michael Jordan literally running out of the club. Some wild times. Definitely wild times.
Can you imagine? What would you do if Mike Tyson was coming after you?
I made sure I wasn't petting the white tiger.
Stand there and take it like the man that you are, Timothy. Attaboy.
You couldn't pay me $1 million to get into a ring with him.
$1 million?
Because he's gonna put you in the next Sunday. You're never gonna be able to spend any of that money. You'll be a vegetable.
Yep. Yeah. My kid couldn't live off $1 million. Not in today's age. Trump gives us that $2,000 a month, we might be okay, but that's about it. I'm just kidding. So what do you think, Tim? We are looking forward to episode 9, 10. Hopefully
Absolutely.
There's 11 and 12. I mean, I got right on my Flixer last night at 11:05 and was disappointed there was nothing on there because I was going to stay up till 1 a.m. to watch the rest of it. But we'll have to wait till next Sunday. It'll be okay.
Yeah, but the My Flixer thing's cool. But there's something to be said for seeing it though, when everybody else is seeing it. Social media hits on it. I mean,
oh my goodness,
that's part of the fun is the conversation that happens elsewhere.
Yes, Twitter is amazing. Social media. Well, that part of social media is great. Facebook can go, Twitter is where it's at.
All because you didn't get your retweets this weekend.
All because I didn't get tweeted by Morgansville Little League.
Chad, let's take this thing another direction, please.
Yep. So obviously, we want 11 and 12 to come out, but did you guys see that on June the 14th, they have a 3-part series coming out about what they called the longest summer? I think is that what they call it, right? Longest summer.
Yes.
It's the summer of 1998.
The studio crews following Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. They kind of figured out from Adam Silver, who Adam Silver's the one that set up this whole Last Dance thing. He felt as though it was extremely important to record the Bulls' last run because of Krause being a bozo at the beginning of the year saying, right, this is it. So he's like, we need to document all this. Yep. So, you get into Jerry Reinsdorf. He knows they're being documented. So in Chicago, Sammy Sosa. So they decided to document everything behind the scenes on Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. That's going to be pretty cool to see too, because, we all know they juice, and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what's said and who they communicated with, from a player perspective on that as well. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, this is how I feel about baseball in regards to cheating. I think every era in baseball had their thing, had their ways. We grew up Yankee fans in our household, and names like Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, those generation of New York Yankees are put on a pedestal. But Mickey Mantle cheated. Those guys were taking everything they could to try to fight through their knee surgeries and different. I mean, there was all different. I think every generation of baseball has had their different piece. Obviously, we have seen baseball in the last couple of years and what that is going through. So what biggest memory sticks out in my mind is, Greg Small was not much of a reader growing up. And I can remember coming home from college one weekend, and my brother is in his room reading a book. And I can remember saying, like, to myself, in not so many words, what's going on here? Well, Jose Canseco himself had just published his tell-all book, and there was Gregory Patrick Small in his bedroom on his bed, no computer, no video games, reading this book. And Jose, then the whole litany, the whole they had to testify in front of the House of Representatives, all that stuff. Greg, take us back.
You know what the amazing part is? You say that. The fact that I got that book out of the basement a month ago, and I was going to read that again in quarantine. But that book was a top 5 bestseller. That was amazing. I don't know. How do I put it? I thought Cal Ripken. I'm not going to really talk about the book because I don't really remember. But I think Cal Ripken saved baseball with the streak from the strike and all what happened the year or two before. But McGuire and Sosa, Bonds and Clemens and them guys made baseball like good again, fun again, popular.
And why aren't they in the Hall? Why isn't Pete Rose in the Hall? Why is
because there's too many sports writers that have power. That's the one goofy side about the Hall of Fame is it's voted on by the writers. And most of those guys couldn't pick up their jock straps, and they write about what they can and can't do. And that's the ones that decide who goes in the Hall of Fame. Like Derek Jeter, there's one writer that did not put Derek Jeter as like a first Hall of Fame guy. He got all but one vote. You guys are Yankee fans. He's probably the best shortstop to ever step on a field.
Yeah,
how does he not have perfect, that's crazy to me.
Well, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before the steroid era. And you still have to go up to the plate and Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds. My screen name on everything is Lit Mike P14, Little Mike Piazza. Okay, Mike Piazza used steroids. He's still in the Hall of Fame. Why aren't they?
Did you guys hear this last week? I don't know. It might have been last week or early part of the week. I was watching Pardon the Interruption. So Kornheiser and Wilbon are going back and forth that a clubby from the Montreal Expos is coming forward and saying that Pete Rose corked his bat every single season he was with the Expos. He had like 4,576 career hits or something like that, right? It's some obnoxious number, 4,672.
Well, it's the
Come
thing,
on, man.
Do you really think Tom Brady didn't know his footballs didn't have air in them?
Yeah.
I did. Always a huge Mark Brunell fan, but I remember that come out. And Mark Brunell said, you're paid millions and millions of dollars. You're the face of an NFL franchise. You're starting quarterback in the NFL. My high school quarterbacks, the kids that play quarterback for me, have their favorite balls that we use every night. And they're, I can still remember Jacob Ball walking around with the football in his backpack everywhere. Now, I love that about him because the football was always in his hands when he wasn't playing basketball. But they know. We could have 4 episodes on this.
Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, though, no doubt. He should have been reinstated 20 years ago.
All of them should with asterisks.
Yeah.
Just put an asterisk.
Asterisks or not, it doesn't matter.
Just build
Barry
another
Bonds
wing.
is one of the top 5 players of all time. He deserves to be in Cooperstown. Roger Clemens is one of the top 5 pitchers of all time.
He doesn't deserve to be in Cooperstown. Jim Leyland was going to kick his butt in spring training 35 years ago.
Huh?
Yeah, he was.
One. Check that one out, Greg. That's your homework assignment for this week.
What? Barry Bonds, Jim
Leyland training camp. YouTube it.
Barry Bonds doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Hello?
No, I was making a joke, Gregory.
Oh, okay. Bobby Bonilla.
No.
Best
then-
agent in sports history.
Well, you got
That
the
agent is
Baltimore
a
Orioles.
genius. Yeah, his
Baltimore
agent's
Orioles,
a genius. July 1st, $1 million check put in a bank account. He signed a
Quarantine or not.
$26 million contract, $1 million a year for 26 years. That's how we broke it out. That's an intelligent person. That's called a retirement plan.
It's I mean the agent is still cashing on that one.
Yes.
Are they still paying Albert Bell too? I mean, God, how dumb is Angelos?
Well, like we talked, if it wasn't for the Nationals, he wouldn't own the team.
That's true. That's true. But they suing? They're suing the Orioles, I believe. Now, what you
$300
said,
million.
Chad? Yeah.
Hey,
like-
let's
like
get back
300
to the
million.
summer of '98. I think
Summer
Chad,
of
I was
98.
17 or
Sorry.
18. Chad, you're 16.
Yep.
Greg, you're like 4.
12.
12.
Summer of 98. That's
Summer
a lot of
98
memory.
is
That was
is
like
the
the best
magical-
baseball summer. Yes, that's the
the
magical
magical
run.
halfway, all the way summer for Gregory Small.
May Day.
May Day.
Andy May hit the game.
You guys remember
winning walk-off.
ESPN magazine? Chad, did you read ESPN magazine growing up?
I did.
Remember now when that thing would come, that thing was spellbound and it was like this thick.
Yep.
I can remember, road trips and like summer vacations that summer, like, and that's all they were
Oh, we
writing
did.
about. It was either Sammy or it was Mark. It was Sammy, it was Mark. It was Sammy, it was Mark. And here's the thing about sports, and this is what's so important, like, I don't care if Sammy Sosa now looks like a 50-year-old housewife. Like it's always still going to have a special place there for me.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun to watch. Like, I remember watching to see like which one would get a home run next. I mean, you tune into Sports Center and I remember like when I want to say when McGuire hit 62, like every station would fly in, like they would stop what they were showing and then cut right into his at bat. Because he hit like a line drive, didn't he? Didn't he hit like a line drive over the wall? I mean, it wasn't like this.
What,
like
for 66?
no, that was Sosa ended up with 66, but McGuire when he passed Maris
61,
61st,
yeah.
right? When he
Yeah, it
hit
was
the
a
home run,
line
it was like a
drive,
line
right.
drive, and he missed
Yes.
first base. He had to step back and hit first base. He was so pumped up. I mean, they did it. The whole summer was tied into those guys.
Well, you talked about the trips to Myrtle Beach and all, Tim. Well, up and down 95. Do you remember how we even listened to the sports radio stations to see what was going on?
Yeah.
That's how.
Well, and I guess we might have this today. Do you guys remember how, even though they were competing, and I don't know whether it's ESPN created this. I don't know whether Fox Sports created this because Fox was big baseball then also. They were definitely like this. They were almost pulling for each other, that they realized this was good for baseball. This was good for America. We were going to do something here. We're almost going to kind of do it together. We're going to push each other. And at the end of the day, you always felt like Sammy was Mark's biggest fan. Mark was Sammy's biggest fan, and it was real. It wasn't false. It wasn't contrived, and it was, pretty special little time.
I go back. Speaking of baseball, I go back to September 11th. We're all we all were in a certain location, and we'll forever remember exactly where we were when, we got the news of that stuff. But I remember, I think it was like 11 days or 16 days. They waited until sports started back up, and baseball was the sport that ironically brought the country back together. If I remember right, I mean, Mike Piazza hits the moon ball in the eighth, the center field. And then
George Bush threw out the first pitch.
A strike. I mean, that was so good they made a documentary 30 for 30 short on that thing.
Yeah.
He had to throw a strike from the rubber, so he didn't get booed like his old man did when he like bounced the ball in at the Texas Rangers games.
Yep.
But I just remember, like, I think that we do need to get back to sports. I know, Greg, you said earlier it all begins and ends with sports. I mean, obviously we're biased in that realm. I mean, some people that are going to be in the theatrical world and everything are going to be tuned into that side of it. But I do believe
I can go to theater too. I don't mind going to a play.
No. But I mean, I just think that we got to get back to it because we need something as a country to root for.
Yeah.
And right now we have nothing to root for. I mean, I'm not a big UFC fan, and we'll go back to Conor here in a second because you had made a comment. I want to come back to you on that. But I mean, I watched it a little bit just because it was something that was not like 2 years ago or the 1977 World Series on ESPN Classic again. I mean, I get tired of watching Reggie hit 3 home runs. I've seen it so many times.
Right.
But I mean, to go back what you said about Conor, Tim, like, I think he's decent at his craft. I think his arrogance and his swagger take him to a level that people become intimidated.
I get that.
I mean, honestly, everybody's like, oh, Floyd is that. I watched that fight. I watched that Floyd fight live, and he had Floyd on the ropes a little bit early.
Yeah.
Floyd danced late, but he had him on the ropes early. And think about it. Floyd is not going to go into an octagon, but Conor went into a ring. He changed his entire stance and went in and tried to fight that. So I thought that was kind of cool when he did that.
Yeah, it's I haven't really followed UFC that close. Obviously, I know enough about it to watch it.
I'm looking for a drink.
But marketing genius, knows how to take what he's got, turn it, knows how to get people afraid of it, knows how to people do those things, knows how to sell. I lost some respect when they did the whole attacking the guy's bus and doing all that.
Oh, yeah.
I know those guys are always teetering.
Do you
on
think
the
that
edge.
was real?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Did you see the fight afterwards?
Yeah, I thought it was for real.
I think
thought
that's
it was
real.
Yeah. And I realize guys that do that for a living professionally, they're always kind of teetering on the edge. They're walking kind of psychopaths. I mean, you have to be. You got to be crazy to. I know I've coached some kids over the years that are like, I'm not going to name names, but there's a kid that we coached at Williamsport, the group of guys I've coached with a long time that, we always joke about, we have a lot of fun with the kids and we joke about, hey, what are you going to do after graduation? Well, this kid's going to do that and this kid's going to do that. And we always are, one kid we talked about, hey, this guy's going to be a UFC fighter just because he had that kind of mentality. Obviously had the physical capability to do it, but I think it takes certainly a certain type of person, certain type of kid.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, to go back what you said though about marketability and all that stuff. I mean, I grew up in the Baltimore Catholic League. When you walked into St. Francis's gym, even if you were equally talented as them, there was just this aura of the product you were walking into.
Talk about that experience one time. I know on the football side of it, obviously the last couple of years they've had one of the best football programs in the country. They, kind of meet market mentality. They got a guy down there by the name of Biff Poggi, who is a self-made millionaire who's throwing money in the program, and they basically recruit Baltimore. They recruit the DMV, come play for us. They send double-digit kids to Division I schools every year. I mean, the MIA teams won't schedule them anymore. I mean, you have lots of different things that happen there, lots of different dynamics. I've never been there, never been to a game, never been by the school, but I've heard people say, like, it definitely – I don't even know if they even have football games on their own campus anymore. I think they play off-site in a park somewhere just because you could be on their practice fields and gunshots ring out and the kids just kind of duck their heads, look at each other, and they go right back to work. Like that's just a way of life.
That is a way of life. So the St. Francis School and new gymnasium are across the street from the Baltimore City Jail, like across the street. And the
the old jail that got torn down downtown.
No, I don't know. I haven't been down if it did get torn down, but it's the one that's like huge and gargantuan. It looks like it's like out of Shawshank Redemption. Like
it's not that far from Baltimore Sun Building. Yeah.
Correct. So I mean, literally, you park your car and across the street you can see the inmates looking out at you. We're in a little Goretti minibus, and we watch these guys like looking at us as we're walking up into the gym. but that was this generation. Like they got to play in that nice facility, and it's really, really nice. And Pogie's done a really good job, not just for football. So Nick Miles is the basketball coach at St. Francis. He's actually a pretty good friend of mine. He has started buying the townhouses, row houses that you saw in the television show The Wire.
Yes,
We're right across the
great
street.
show.
Okay, so that is the location where St. Francis is. So all those row houses that were in those television shows are now being bought, gutted, and turned into dorms so the kids can walk across the street to go to school. And
wow.
Bogey's paying for all that. Like they joked with them on one of the ESPN like E60 things. He was on, I think it was Michigan staff, if I'm not mistaken, as like an assistant coach, and only really and he was only being used to get dudes into the door. That's it. Like your connections
the
are
first
getting
year
guys
that
up.
Jim Harbaugh came to Michigan, which is like 95, 96, somewhere in there, he hired Biff. A lot of those big schools have guys, they call them like assistant director of player development, and they give them all these funky titles and job descriptions. And it's like your job is to recruit kids out of those high schools, period.
Yep, absolutely. And so he was there. I think he was only there like a year or two because I think his son ended up actually going and playing there. But they joked with him and said that I want to say Harbaugh's salary was like $7.5 million. And they said, who had a better year last year, you or Coach Harbaugh? And he chuckled and he said, me by far. I made $114 million on my hedge fund account. Like he runs a hedge fund. So he made $114 million. So when you're dumping like he pays for the entire football team's scholarships. Nobody pays a dime. If you make that football team, you don't pay to go to school. You just go to school.
We have
crazy.
I won't name names, but we have an athletic director in our county that every time that this person gets in a room and the subject of football comes up, and football scheduling in our county is always a big deal, and there's a lot of debate. We're not in a conference. What do you do in this situation? How do you schedule this way? And he always makes a remark, even sometimes in jest, about, hey, let's get Biff on the phone, collect that check for 50 grand, 75 grand, bring the Panthers down here, take her licking, and balance the athletic budget for the school for the rest of the year. And in this guy, sometimes you think he's serious. It's always kind of a joke, but with this guy, it's like you might see the school do that.
I mean, honestly, it would be kind of like the Matha coming up and playing basketball up here, something like along those lines. Gonzaga, Paul VI. But when I played at St. Francis, there's gymnasium was on the 4th floor of the Baltimore Law School downtown, and they had orange lighting.
Wow.
It was just, my freshman year was Mark Karcher's senior night, and it was Mark Karcher night. Like they had senior night other nights, but that was Mark Karcher night. And he's probably one of the top 3 players I've ever seen live as a high school basketball player that could just totally dominate a game. Tracy McGrady was pretty good too.
I can remember seeing Tracy McGrady at the St. James Invitational.
The St. James tournament.
The Mount Zion. They used to come to Mount Zion. We ain't lying. Mount Zion. We ain't lying. Greg, you remember that?
Run up the floor and go showtime.
Yeah.
Boom. It was, that was real.
Man, we're pushing into our hour. Greg, parting thoughts. What are you looking forward to this week?
Well, let's go back to Little League. Hopefully we get an answer. District 1 meets tonight or met tonight. Hopefully,
meeting happening as we talk?
Yeah, probably. It probably lasts a couple hours. But
who's the district administrator now?
I have no idea.
It used to be Larry. Oh, come on. That was Larry Hammond.
Yeah,
it was Larry.
It used to be, yeah.
We would be playing by now. Larry wouldn't put up with this. We'd be doing something. Larry's all about the kids, getting the kids out there. He was a good man.
That's right. He's the old federal guy.
He is an old federal guy. Him and my dad worked a lot at federal together back in the day.
No, your dad was still coaching in federal up until recently, wasn't he?
Yeah, he'd help. I mean, he would go over and help and do stuff. When they went up to the World Series in 2008, he helps with the pitchers. Bill Abels had him come over and help with the pitchers at that time. And Dad went back and helped, the last couple of years over there. And then he started umpiring for, a Coke and a hamburger That
Been
was
there,
his
done
pay
that,
to go
yeah.
get the the balls kicked off your shins there as you're behind home plate. But
Yep.
no, I mean he tried to give back to the game that gave so much to him, and I think we miss. You asked about what's going on this week. I think that we lose focus on that, and the three of us have been pretty blessed to play where we played and met the experiences that we've had. Like, that's why we give back and coach. I mean, the game's given us so much, we give it back to others so they can have the same experiences.
Yep. Paying it forward.
What are you looking forward to this week, Tim?
I'm looking forward to seeing some of this scheduling stuff. With that, hopefully there's a trickle down effect from the pro associations and the leagues. Obviously, we're itching with our program and our kids to get back to work in some semblance. We're trying to get some creative with some of the things that we're doing, and a lot of the kids are not responding, but it's still tough. A lot of kids are responding, but it's still tough to get a certain amount. So I'm looking forward to seeing America to keep taking steps in that direction. I know we don't get very political, and that's probably wise. I know Greg just wants to talk about Larry Hogan or something all week. I'm looking forward to that, and then the weather turning, and then Sunday night. I'm looking forward to that Larry Bird, Michael Jordan moment Sunday night, and hopefully them kicking that things off. And I'm hoping 3 or 4 years from now I can look at my son when he talks about so and so being the best and so and so being the best, and saying, remember that moment in time where we were locked in COVID, whatever, and you had the chance to watch that and see that. I'm hoping the next generation sees that. So that's
number 45 is not the same as number 23. That's my.
How about that?
Thing.
Changing it right in the middle of the from game 1 to game 2.
Another great reaction by Horace Grant to something that was going on.
And who said that? Anderson's.
Nick Anderson.
Yeah. Poor guy. They still won the series though.
That year.
All right, fellas.
It's been fun.
It's been fun. We'll get back at it. Check us out live here on Facebook, Instagram. Well, not Instagram, but YouTube. We'll be back at it. See you guys.
See you on Sunday.
Yep.
Sunday at 8.